Hello and welcome to Salahuddin. Welcome to the office of the President of the Kurdistan region of Iraq for this exclusive interview. President Masoud Barzani, thank you very much for hosting us today here in your office. You spend a lot of time on the front lines in recent weeks because of the war going on against the organization of the Islamic State known as Daesh. This became a much more vivid issue in June when the group took over control of Mosul, and it became even more dramatic when in early August they headed to Kurdistan. The offensive was held off by the Kurdish troops as well as support from the Western countries. I would like to ask you an update on the military situation. I know there was a recent attack. Can you tell us what the military situation is in this war against Daesh?
On the daily basis, there is this fighting going on against ISIS and against this terrorists. But when ISIS, these terrorist groups, they managed to control Mosul and to head to the south, and also after that they attacked Kurdistan. At the beginning days of their attack on Kurdistan, it's true that they managed to control some of the areas, but later Peshmergas started there to implement a strategy that was twofold strategy. The first fold was to stop ISIS and then to start the offensive and to drive them out from the areas that they control. So far, yes, Peshmerga has achieved a lot of achievements and a lot of successful achievements against ISIS. Peshmergas are expanding and they are controlling back the areas that ISIS controlled. And today that I'm talking with you right now, the fighting is going on the west side of Tigris.
Right, there is apparently an attack in the Rabia area. Do you feel that Daesh is losing the war and trying to attack by surprise, or do you think they still can win that war?
No, the war has not finished, and ISIS is not in a stage to say that they have lost complete capability of attack. So this war is going on, and ISIS still is capable of attack, but it's true that they have been weakened, but still they have not lost their capabilities of attack.
You've fought many wars in your career. You fought against Saddam Hussein. Would you say Daesh is maybe worse than all of the threats Kurdistan has faced?
It's a new war, and it's a new tactic of the war, and also it's an ideological war. And these barbaric, horrific terrorists, they don't spare anything. They just attack everything. So this terrorist organization, yes, it's the most brutal and the barbaric organization and the fightings that we have ever fought, even if you compare it with the series of the Iraqi regime that we fought.
I want to get to the issue of the Western support you got. You obviously had decisive US military airstrikes. You also received weapons from other Western countries. There was a visit here, historic visit by the French President François Hollande. What more do you expect from the West? Do you want more heavy weapons? Do you want more humanitarian aid? What more do you expect?
Definitely, the visits of the President of France, His Excellency François Hollande, has been a historical visit to Kurdistan, and we thank him for that visit. And also, I would like to thank France and all the other members of the alliance and the coalitions for all the support that they have provided. But here I would like to say that all the support that we have received so far is not up to the level that is needed for us, for example, the heavy weapon system that we need, especially like in terms of the numbers and the qualities of the weapons that we need for this war. For example, the APCs, the armored personnel carriers, the MRAPs, the helicopters, the artilleries that we need for a decisive war against them, we have not received these types of the weapons, and still is not in that level that we are expecting.
Why haven't you received them? Do you think the West is reluctant to give you too many weapons?
Also, we have asked the same question, and it's a question for us that we are also seeking to answer. Our question is very clear, and we have not received a clear answer. Is there a ceiling for the weapon system that we should receive in terms of the quality and the quantity? So the answer is not very clear to us.
So you're disappointed in that regard?
We are not disappointed, but we are waiting for the promises that have been given to us to be implemented.
I want to get to the situation in Kobane, this martyr city on the border between Syria and Turkey. There's been a lot of criticism against Turkey for not doing any more to save the people from the city who were under the assault of Daesh. Do you think the situation now is stabilized, and do you think Kobane will eventually be able to reject Daesh?
The brave resistance that the fighters in Kobane they have made also to stand against the ISIS, and also with the support of the Peshmergas. As you know, that the Peshmerga units they have been deployed into Kobane, and it has been a big support from the moral perspective and also from the practical perspective. Turkey has allowed up to 200,000 refugees from Kobane to cross to Turkey, but militarily Turkey has not intervened, and I don't know what is the reason. So for seeking the answer to that question, it will be better to be asked to the Turks to be asked.
Are you planning to send more Peshmergas and more weapons to Kobane?
If there will be a demand and if there will be ways, whatever we can, we will do it for Kobane.
But you don't have the agreement from the Turkish authorities to do so for now?
There is an agreement between Kurdistan region, Turkey and the United States, and based on that agreement we have sent this Peshmergas into Kobane. But in order to send more Peshmergas, then definitely we have to talk about this issue as well.
Right. Turkey has been criticized, especially in the West, for not doing more to save Kobane, but also for saying Daesh, for us, is the same as the PKK. They're both terrorists, and in the West this has shocked many people. Do you agree with their assessment that the PKK, Daesh, it's the same thing, they're both terrorists?
No, I don't agree. I don't agree with that assessment.
Are you still involved in the talks between the Turkish authorities and the PKK, and are you hopeful they can eventually succeed, because lots of people are very skeptical because of the situation in Kobane?
Now the top priority for all of us is the fight against ISIS, but despite all of this, the priority is also we will continue to have these efforts in order to support the peace process in Turkey, because this is in order to reach a peaceful solution for the Kurdish question there, and we will continue on our role in this regard.
And you are personally still involved in those talks?
Continuously we are in contact with the relevant officials and relevant people.
Did Turkey provide you any help when Daesh was coming here in August?
They sent a shipment of ammunitions.
And it's still ongoing, or that was just a one-off?
So let's stop. We're talking about the Turkey and let's go to another file, please.
On Iran, you received some support from Iran, and is it still ongoing?
Yes, Iran, they supported us with ammunition as well.
And they continue to provide you weapons?
Sometimes, yes, they helped us and they continued.
Right. They were the first ones to come really to help you at that time?
Yes, the first shipments, the airlift of the ammunition to Kurdistan, it was done by the Iranians. They sent it to us.
Is there cooperation between Iran, the United States, the Kurdish forces against Daesh?
As far as I know, on the official level, no. There is no that coordination.
Okay. Obviously, I want to get to the issue of the independence. You announced several months ago, back in June, July, that there would be a referendum on self-determination. Obviously, there have been events since, especially the push from Daesh towards Kurdistan. Is it still on the agenda? Will there be a referendum on self-determination in Kurdistan?
The self-determination right is the legal and the natural right of our people, and it's our people who is going to decide on the self-determination and the future, how they are going to decide on that. So when the people has this right, it has to be practiced, and none of the events, none of the developments is going to affect this process, because this is a process, and nothing will be like an obstacle in front of or stopping this process. The process is going on. Maybe the timing and the time frame of implementing this process will be changed, but we are not going to step back from this process to implement our national right.
Will there be a referendum next year?
That's now the Parliament is handling that issue, and it will be decided by Parliament. The decision is there to have the referendum, but for the timing of when we are going to have that referendum, that will be discussed and decided by Parliament.
it also has to be accepted by your neighbors and by your allies, and not many of them are in favor of an independent Kurdistan.
So the decision is about holding that referendum to see what the Kurdish people, the Kurdistani people, is going to decide about their destiny and the self-determination right that they have. But how the decision will be, how the referendum will be, the details of this process will be, that will be discussed later. But we do hope that no one will stop us from doing that or to give themselves the right to stand against the will and the wishes of the Kurdish people. The Kurdish people are going to decide on their future. Nobody has the right to decide for the future of the Kurdish people except for the Kurdish people to decide on their future.
Okay, I want to get to the issue of Kirkuk, obviously a very symbolic town. You seized control of Kirkuk, taking advantage of the Daesh strike. Will you ever give back Kirkuk to a federal government of Iraq, or do you believe it belongs to Kurdistan forever?
For us, it's a fact that Kirkuk is part of Kurdistan, and we had that constitutional agreement to have a process of normalization of census and then referendum for the Kirkuki people to decide on the future of their city. So whatever decision will be in this process for the people in Kirkuk, we will respect that decision. But in any cases that we have always said, it's a fact that Kirkuk is part of Kurdistan, and we will not step back from this. But again, for the how to administrate the situation in Kirkuk, there must be a special arrangement for the administration of Kirkuk and the components of Kirkuk to be fully and fairly represented in the administration in Kirkuk.
Mr. President, behind you there's a flag of Kurdistan, there's a flag of Iraq, but with all that happened, do you still feel that you belong to Iraq?
As you know, that Kurdistan region is part of Iraq according to the constitution that we voted yes for that constitution that it was voted for. But there is a reality, and that there is a fact that Iraq composed of two nations, Arabs and the Kurds, and we must be partners. I don't want to give any other definition for the other sort of being how to be part of this Iraq.
But do you agree that all the attempts to create a unified Iraq over the past decades have now failed? Do you think there is any way to hold Iraq together, or Iraq is a thing of the past now?
It will depend on what kind of the path of governance is going to be taken by the governors there, because if they are going to repeat what happened in the past, yes, is Iraq heading toward the dismembership, let's say, or the fragmentation. But if they continue on committing to the constitution, yes, maybe there is a chance for Iraq to survive.
So speaking of this, I understand there is a deadline, a very soon deadline, December 8th, with the new government to try to solve all the outstanding issues between the federal government and the Kurdistan region. Obviously, there are issues about the Peshmergas, the issue of Kirkuk that we talked about, but there is obviously also the issue of oil that's been an area of dispute. You opened a pipeline through Turkey 1 year ago. The government decided to cut the budget part that is supposed to go to the region back in February, creating a lot of economic problems here. Do you think that there is a chance to reach an agreement on all those issues by December 8th?
Now, some of the problems, there is a process started to solve some of this problem, and we have shown flexibility in finding solution for these issues that we have, and also we want these issues to be solved. That is our intention, to solve the issues. But if there are no solutions for the issues that we have, then we cannot wait forever for an unknown future. Then we are going to decide whatever necessary decision is needed.
So are you, if this doesn't happen by December 8th, are you willing to continue to talk, or is this a firm deadline saying, if we are not resolving this issue by that time, it's over?
That's collective decisions of political parties in Kurdistan, the parliament. I cannot anticipate what a unanimous decision is going to be.
Just to be precise, on the oil issue, What do you want exactly? Do you want that Kurdistan will have the authority to explore, to produce and to export oil, and that the federal government doesn't have any say on those activities? Or are you willing to share the authority on oil in Kurdistan?
The Iraqi constitution stipulates that the oil and gas belongs to all Iraqis, and also the revenues belong to all Iraqis. We don't have any differences on that. And now there is a new opportunity. There is a new Ministry of Oil. He's a patriot. He is a good friend of us, and he was here last Thursday. And they reached a sort of agreement with KRG so far, and we do hope that through those agreements we will be able to solve this issue.
Do you trust more the new Prime Minister than Nouri al-Maliki?
I don't like to talk about this personal issues to be talked here. So.
Right. Last question. Do you dream one day of being the president of all the Kurds? And do you think this dream is maybe closer to realizing itself today than it ever was?
No. I have never dreamed to be the president, and I've never expected and I didn't want it to be the president of the Kurds, but I've never also doubted that this day will come that the Kurds will be independent, and whatever necessary sacrifices needed, I will do it to make Kurdistan independent. The most important thing is that Kurdistan to be independent. No, that's not important who is going to be the president.
Okay, are you going back now to the front line, to Rabia, to monitor the wars?
I've been visiting all the battlefields and the front, but now after this I'm going to monitor some of the developments that we have.
And you're hopeful that you eventually will win?
Yeah, we believe in success.
Okay, thank you very much, President Barzani, for hosting us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.